everybody. This is our third day of talking about debriefing and how to bring um, resolution and capture all the learning that your team has done over the course of the fall. And today, today we're going to talk about closure, about using the debrief process to bring closure. Closure just means resolving and releasing painful experiences so that we can move forward free and hopeful. It means resolving and releasing to get through some things so that we can have a fresh start. And I just want to say at the outset, like sometimes just acknowledging and talking about a painful experience will be enough to resolve it and let people release it. So if you did the timeline activity that we started talking about yesterday, or if you did just the 3-question activity that we talked about the day before, acknowledging where things were painful will be enough for your team. But sometimes you need more. The truth is that we spend so much time at work with our colleagues. We spend so much time with our teams, and we're not always perfect. And so for sure, things are going to happen. We are going to make mistakes. People's feelings are going to get hurt. There are going to be consequences. Like, that's just normal. And I really want you to understand that it's normal that there are painful experiences in a team. That does not mean that you're a bad leader. It doesn't mean that the team is falling apart. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. We can't spend that much time with people and not have some degree of struggle or pain. It's normal. The problem is how we deal with it, or rather, the potential is how we deal with it. Because most often, when something happens that's painful or awkward, we feel so much guilt and shame right away that we choose to either get really defensive, like angry and double down on our position and attack somebody else, really defensive, or we choose to get like really quiet and passive and withdraw. Like, we just want to escape. That's what it is, escape. We want to escape that feeling. And so we want to like hide in our office or just get real busy with email, not talk to anybody for a few days. What we're hoping, of course, is that people will forget what happened and then just kind of move on. And that's true with things that we did, things that we were the cause of. And it's true with things that we just saw. I just witnessed my boss, no, I didn't. I'm just using an example, just so we're clear. But if I just witnessed my boss dress down a colleague in the hallway, I might really want to get busy in my office for a little while and pretend that didn't happen. The problem is that people don't forget. They just don't. It's not how we're built. So they might act like they've moved on and released it, but actually what they've done is taken that experience and laid it down as a brick in the foundation of what their concept of this team or this leader is. So now, all of a sudden, this team is hostile and judgmental and not a safe place for me to try out new ideas. And this leader is out of touch and totally selfish and does not care about how their actions affect the little people. That's terrible, right? Nobody wants to work in that kind of environment. And no matter how you try as a leader, you are not going to be able to move forward into healthy, life-giving patterns with your team so long as your people are carrying memories, painful memories of experiences like that into the future. You got to resolve them. You need to bring closure. So I just want to let you know that I'm not talking about this just purely hypothetically. I've lived through lots of experiences like this. In fact, when I was 21, I was on a trip to Mexico with a group of young adults. And while we were there, we had kind of a leadership crisis on our team. And one of our leaders was inexperienced and sort of an unhealed person. She had lots of hurt pieces, and that caused a lot of conflict, a lot of hurt, a lot of rifts on our team. And so partway through the trip, we had to make a leadership switch and pull her out of that role, and I stepped into it. But that also causes lots of conflict, right? There's lots of jealousy around that. There's lots of different ideas about how it should happen. And we got through the trip, but by the time we were done and heading to our debrief, there was a lot of hurt. Our team was really hurt. They were really pissed off. There's a lot of stony silence on that airplane ride. And my co-leader and I decided or realized on that airplane ride we had two choices. We could either leave it alone and just let it be what it was, or we could re-up, dig in again and try to resolve it. And we chose to resolve it because the problem is that if you leave it alone, what we realized is everybody is going to always hate this trip. Their memories of this experience are going to only be of this conflict. That's what they'll carry forward, and that's so costly because there were so many good things to carry forward. And if we dug in and tried again, it was quite costly for us for a few days, but the possibility was that people would leave with a lot richer memory of the trip. So we did. We chose that option, and what that meant was that for the next 2 days in our debrief time, we both met, both of us with every individual person on our team. It took hours, just hours. We met with every person. We listened for a really long time. We tried to clarify the points of pain. We listened again. We apologized. We apologized a lot. I don't know if I have ever apologized so much for things that I didn't really cause. But because I was the leader, it was my responsibility. So I still had to apologize. And so we met with every person on the team. And then we met with the whole team together and we did it again. We listened again. We listened to the whole group. We clarified. We did the exchange, the back and forth. And then we apologized. And we were able to bring some closure. And against all odds, I'm still friends with most of those people 20 years later. And it was it's a very good memory for me. And it has shaped my leadership and shaped my commitment to bringing closure to teams whenever I possibly can. So when something has happened on your team, you need to process it. You need to bring closure. And friends, can I just say this? Something has always happened. If you've been working for 4 months, September to December, something has always happened. You don't have a perfect 4-month run. It's normal that something has happened. So you get the opportunity as a leader to step in, step up, and bring closure. So today we're going to talk about 3 things. We're going to talk about apologizing. Awesome. We're going to talk about preparing people for closure. And then we're going to talk about ceremony. Let me flip this over. Let's talk about apologizing. If you want to lead well, if you want to be a good leader, you are going to have to get good at apologizing and apologizing well and meaning it. Nothing ruins your reputation as a leader faster than dodging responsibility or making an insincere apology. So let's get good at it. So here are the steps to making a good apology. I think we can all imagine what a bad apology would look like. We know it when we hear it. Here are the steps to doing a good one. The first one is you need to listen and listen to understand another person's perspective, which means asking them again, listening, clarifying, but it does not mean defending yourself or arguing or stating your perspective. If you want to do a good apology, you have to listen to understand the other person's perspective and you have to leave your ego at the door. You cannot argue with them. You cannot say, well, I'm sorry you felt that way, but here's what I was really trying to do. Doesn't matter. Listen to understand. Step 2, own what you did. So you need to be able to really clearly state what it is that you did that was wrong. Okay, so I'm just going to use an example. So what you might end up saying is something like, okay, I know that I was wrong here. I took credit for your work when I shouldn't have. Or I gave you way more responsibility than a person in your role should be required to take. And it was too much. Okay, so you really clearly stating it, and you're stating it with no defensiveness. I took credit for your work and I shouldn't have. And then, number 3, you are going to name the damage. So it's not enough to say what you did. You have to go one step further and say what that action caused. Okay? I took credit for your work. That meant that you didn't get the credit that you deserved. And now you can't trust me to have your back. Right? It's ruined a relationship between us. Or I gave you more responsibility than you should have had. And that meant that you felt overwhelmed and isolated and abandoned. So name the damage that that action caused. Again, really resist. Like fight with all your might not to say, I didn't mean to do that. You probably didn't. Maybe you did. I don't know. I don't know if you're a jerk. But but probably you didn't. It doesn't matter. Your intention doesn't matter. The impact is what matters. So own what you did, name the damage, and then apologize. And that means saying, I am really sorry. Or, I apologize for that. You're going to be tempted to say, I owe you an apology. Or, I really need to apologize to you. You do. So do it. Right? Don't dodge it by saying what you need to do or what you owe them. Just go ahead. I am really sorry that I did that. And then number 5, you're going to make some kind of expression or commitment about going forward, right? What that means is you're going to say how you're going to make sure that that won't happen again. Next time, I'm going to make sure that I credit the person who did the work, both in writing and in person. Or next time, I will make sure that I check in with you about how you're feeling about your workload. So you make a commitment to the next time. And then, number 6, finally, if it is at all possible, you make amends. Okay, so that means you're going to try to make it better if you can. So I'd like to make this situation right by writing an email to all the people who were in the room when I took credit for your work, and clarifying who did that project. I'll do that this afternoon. Okay? And then you might want to check in. Like you might need to ask for their help about that. You might need to say something like, is there anything else that I could do to repair the damage between us? They might have a great idea. They might not want what you wanted to do. They might want something else entirely. See if you can do it. If you're not sure if you can, or if you're not sure what making amends would look like, it is okay to say, I want to make amends for this, and I'm not sure how to do that yet. Could we meet in 2 days and talk about what that might look like? You know, like you can still make amends, but you have to follow through. So you need to set a clear time, like a clear next step, what you're going to do going forward. So like if you can follow these steps, apologizing is actually not complicated. It's simple to do. It's just that it's hard because it's embarrassing and we feel a lot of tension about it. But if you can listen and then own what you did, name the damage, apologize, make some commitments about how to go forward, and then make amends. If you can mean it and follow through, your team will start getting stronger so fast because they'll learn that this is how we deal with mistakes and hard feelings. Okay. Sometimes the mistake is yours as a leader. And I don't think I'm going to change that. Sometimes the mistake is yours, so you can apologize and that's it. But sometimes the mistake wasn't yours. It was somebody else's, and you got to figure out what to do. You didn't cause it. Here's how you deal with that. First of all, as a leader, you have an incredible amount of power in the room. And because you're in charge of the team, you have the power to take responsibility for anything that happened in the team and apologize for the situation, for allowing it to take place that way, because that was your responsibility. So you can actually, in lots of cases, apologize for other people's stuff. That might sound like saying, I just want to step in here as you guys are talking about that situation. I saw that argument happen, and I knew there was tension between you in an ongoing way. I should have stepped in right then, but the truth is I got nervous and I backed away, and that has meant months of everyone in this office walking on eggshells. You guys, I am really sorry. I apologize. I am not going to let that happen again. The next time I hear an argument, I will immediately bring people into my office to work it out. And going forward, how can I make this right? How can I help restore a sense of trust and peace in our office? Might sound like that. So like that might have happened between two colleagues. You had nothing to do with it, but you actually do have a way to step in and apologize and take responsibility. Make it right. The other thing is you could do what my co-leader and I did, which is to meet with people ahead of time before your debrief and address the situation clearly, and then prepare them for what a debrief is and for what closure is and how you want to move forward. And then you might say, like, you can prep with them. Is there anything that you want to offer? Anything you might want to say about that? I'm wondering how you might want to make amends for it. Or how to apologize. You can use this apology list to help people learn how to do it. And then, that's hard for people. Like, it's really vulnerable to apologize and admit you were wrong. So when you're in the meeting, oh my goodness, lead hard in that part and host that person well who's being brave enough to apologize, right? Host them in a way that focuses and celebrates their courage. Which might sound like, I'm going to say Amy, I know, Amy, that you've been processing that experience and your role in that, and that you actually have something you wanted to say to the team. Do you want to share that now? And then Amy does, and then you step right back in again as a leader and say, I am so grateful for your courage, Amy. Thank you so much, because it is hard to admit what we did wrong and apologize. I don't know, Dave, do you have anything that you want to say in response? Because Amy's making an apology to you, right? You can really host it, like really have your people's back, both of their backs, and host them through a good resolution experience. Okay, so sometimes you can do it for them. Sometimes you can help them do it for themselves. And then when you have finished, I just want to talk briefly about the role of ceremony. Might sound funny to do ceremony in a workplace. I think it's important. Ceremony is an external marking of an internal commitment or event. So like you do a debrief and you're working on gathering the meaning and processing your whole year, and internal shifts have happened. Internal, like you've been vulnerable, you've apologized, you've received apology, there's been closure and healing, and there's a way to mark that internal shift in an external way, often something that we can do with our bodies to mark it. It's a way of asking or saying out loud, like when you're doing closure, what do you want to leave here so that you can start fresh? And actually, you can see that I wrote want and then I crossed it out and wrote need, because the truth is often people do not want to leave anything. We would very much like to hold on to all of our righteous anger and carry that into the next season because it feels safer. But what do you need to leave here so that we together can move forward and start fresh? That's a really powerful question. And then anything can be a ceremony, okay? I was trying to think about some closure options. Like lots of times, here are my sticky notes from yesterday. Lots of times this can be as simple as asking this question, what do you need to leave here? Why don't you go ahead and write those things down on a sticky note? And then we're going to go outside the parking lot, light a little fire, and burn them. Doesn't that sound funny? I'm really sensitive to anything that's cheesy or hokey, and so I always squirm a tiny bit. But this is very powerful, right? The act of burning it, so powerful. Even ripping it up and then leaving it, in a collective place together, it's very powerful to say, I need to leave this here and physically, concretely be done with it. That was my idea. You could do anything. You could have strings that are tied to something heavy that people need to cut that string and physically indicate that they're done with that part, with that season. You can decide. But a ceremony is really powerful, and also a ceremony gains power and gains meaning, depth of meaning as you repeat it. So if you do it once, people might kind of giggle and laugh because it feels a little strange and hokey. But the second time, the third time that you've done that same ceremony in a year, people start to come with a bit more, I know this is a weird word, reverence. They come with more reverence because it's been powerful before, and so they're looking forward to the opportunity to do that again. What do you need to leave here so that we can start fresh? That is the essence of closure, resolving and releasing so we can move forward together. That's it for today. I hope that you join me again tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about celebrating and honoring people. It is a lot more fun to talk about than painful experiences and closure. So I'll look forward to seeing you then. Please leave me your questions and comments. I'd love to read them. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Talk soon.